As I wait for the car to cool down so I don't burn myself on the exhaust when trying to change the filter, I might as well introduce this video. Hello and welcome back to the Go-Karts and Good Times YouTube channel. Today I'm finally going to be changing the braking oil out of my car with its freshly rebuilt engine and breaking down the cost of getting the engine rebuilt and swapped back in. For those of you who are new to the channel, this is my 2007 Impreza 2.5i. It blew up before Christmas, and for the longest time I'd been collecting parts and rebuilding the EJ253 that blew up from it on the side, which is detailed in a number of my other videos on the channel. But now that I finally have it running and back together and the 500 braking miles is complete, I can do an oil change the filter, and actually consider the car done. And by done, I mean in respect to the engine rebuild. There are a number of modifications I want to also do to the car, and some parts that I have sitting on a shelf that I have to install, and that will be coming in later videos. So if you like the Impreza, stay tuned for more. Since the car's been back on the road, besides the CV axle and wheel bearing, which have needed to be replaced for a long time, I've had no issues with the car, and checking the oil, it's burned next to nothing, or not enough that I can notice by the crude measurement of the dipstick. My guess is that what you're really here for is the cost breakdown of the rebuild of the engine and getting this thing back up and running tip-top. I'm not exactly great at this whole talking thing, so I'll do my best to try and explain thoroughly what I spent where and what parts I actually ended up buying. As you can see, I have my phone in my hand and I usually film on it, so that means this video is on the camera. I also have a post-it note which has the final cost of just the engine, roundabouts because most things are rounded, and the cost of everything like the clutch and other miscellaneous bits and pieces to get the car to where it is now. So, starting with the 2004 engine that I picked up thinking I'd be able to use it for the rebuild, I got the crankshaft from that one. That was $100. Then I got a $120 Clutch Max Stage 2 clutch with the flywheel from eBay, $20 battery tie down, Nippon Racing pistons and rings, which you would have seen in my engine rebuild video. The hot tank and block cleaning at the machine shop was $70. The boring of the actual cylinders, 20 thousandths over with 1,000th clearance, was $100. Getting the heads milled was $100. Getting ACL coated main bearings was $95. The rod bearings were $18-ish a piece plus tax, so $85. Getting an OEM oil pump was $170. It was $90 for an OEM block gasket kit, $30 for front and rear main seals, roundabout, $10 for an OEM pilot bearing, $20 for miscellaneous gaskets, $5 for an oil filter from the factory, $90 for Beckner and the head bolts, $220 for the headset, $50 for the timing belt, $220 for the valve job at the machine shop, $100 for a water pump, $60 for a new rod because initially I was going to use the 2004 rods, but they're a different length than 2007. So I ended up using my 2007 rods, which if you watch the videos, you'll know one was destroyed, so I had to buy one. That was $60. The catch can and filters that I have yet to install on the car, which will be coming up in a future video, that was around $30. Cold air intake was like $25. Again, that'll be in a future video. The new battery was $180, which I'm not going to count in my final tally. And then there's a couple of other little things that went in the last video, and that kind of rounds it about for the cost of the engine and getting the car back on the road. Just the engine was a little bit over $1,600, which is not a number I like to hear out loud, but all things considered, it should last for a long, long while. And I didn't plan on flipping, selling, whatever this car. I plan to keep it in the long haul anyway. So I'm not that upset about it because I know if taken care of, these things last for a long while. Then, including the clutch and all the other little bits and pieces to get it together, the entire thing was around about $1,800. Now, this sounds kind of high, And when looking at my original options, like getting a WRX motor from a JDM engine importer for around that, maybe even less, depending on where I go, what I get, I'm not upset because at the end of the day, this is brand new. Even if I found a second-hand WRX motor, I do not 100% trust it. Even if it's got 50,000 miles, maybe it was thrashed for 50,000 miles and then put in a garage. So I'm happy that my engine is brand new and it should be reliable for the long haul. And at the end of the day, that is a lot of money, but I think it's worth it for the reliability that's going to come out of it. And the car is running better than ever, as to be expected with the engine rebuild. Hopefully that isn't too bad, and barring the numerous jump cuts I'll probably have to make between stuttering moments in the clip, I think you should be able to understand the parts that I use and roundabouts how much it would cost if you had to do it yourself and how much it cost me. This is going to be a short video, but I still think that list needed to be said because I know some people will be asking about what parts I used. In any case, I believe I should be transparent with the viewers so that they know what they're getting themselves into if they do it themselves, and they know exactly what process I had to go through to get where I am. All that being said, it's now time to get the old oil filter pulled out of the car so I can put in a new one. Well, that was kind of a hot, oily mess because I made sure to warm the car up so that all the oil drained out. It did mostly end up in the drain pan, and now I can go about putting the new filter and new oil in. That is, of course, after I look at the old oil and make sure there's nothing suspect in it and it checks out. What I mean by checks out is that there's no metal or strange particles in the oil, which were present when you saw me drain the oil of the blown up motor. All this looks pretty normal, and for running in the car for 600 some odd miles, it doesn't look bad whatsoever. After looking at a couple of forums, the synthetic Castrol Edge was supposed to be a pretty good option, and as far as filter, this doesn't make a huge difference, so I got whatever was a decent price at the store that day, and it should be alright. After making sure the gasket surface of the oil filter is nice and clean, and a layer of oil has been applied to the gasket on the new filter, it can be screwed in and tightened down by hand, but not too tight, because think of the future oil change when you're going to want to get this off. Hand tight should be just enough. Everything underneath the car tightened and buttoned up, it can now be let down so that it can be refilled with the brand new oil. And now I can start it up. All seems good, and I have to go for the moment, but I'll be back to close out this video. I'm finally home to close out the video, and I know it was a super short one, but I included some details that I've been leaving out of the engine reassembly and swap videos, and hopefully you gained something from that. If you enjoyed, I'd appreciate it if you liked, commented, or even subscribed to the channel, and hopefully you stay tuned for upcoming modifications to the car and plans with this project and others. For now, this is me signing off.